Welcome back to the workshop. Today I'm talking about Puzzle Box 5. Puzzle Box 5, which I started back in September of 2022 in New Bern, North Carolina, and then we moved and completed it just last month, September of 2023. It was a long process. The wood, the oak for the bottom part, I got from a friend of mine who I also got the Works Pegasus from, and the wood for Puzzle Box 4, if you've seen that video. The Purple Heart came from the Parthenon project, which was last year's big project. And then the rest of the wood came from other places, mainly here in Knoxville. I will talk about what it is, what it does, some of its special features, as well as some of the construction that went into it. And there was a lot of construction because I had to spend the time learning about making wooden gears. Some of those ended up in this, and some will be used in future projects. So join me as I present to you Puzzle Box 5. Puzzle Box 5 is an it's very tall, and so it's hard to get it all in one camera view. I will say when I started, it was just what you see below. It was just this part here, that was all I was going to do. And then I added the top because I wanted a little more features to it. I wanted more decoration. I just wanted a bigger clock, because why not? So overall, this thing has kind of 4 jobs that it does, 4 different things. I mean, first of all, it's a puzzle box. So it's something that you have to do certain things to get into it, to get through all of the components. Number 2, it's a clock. It's a working clock. The clock itself is just a quartz clock that you can buy at any hobby big box store or hardware store. It's not, I did not build a clock, so don't be confused by that. That would be a project of much more, that would have taken years for me to figure that out. So it's not a clock. It is a place to store the puzzle that I'm currently working on. I'll talk about that in a minute. And it also allows me to hold 13 puzzles. It will eventually hold 13 puzzles. Right now it's holding, I think, 8 or 9. But I've got several more in boxes from a big puzzle haul that I got back in late August or in early September, and it will hold all of those puzzles, hopefully. So starting out, so you see you've got the main body here. You've got what I've called the bell tower. This area up here I'm calling a bell tower. It does feature a painting inside. I'll show you a picture of what that looks like. This is Victor Ashe Park here in Knoxville. It sort of has a greenway type of thing with, playing fields and frisbee golf and all that sort of thing. I enjoy taking walks there, and so I liked that view, and so I went ahead and painted a picture of that, and specifically to have inside the clock tower, so I'd see it often. It wouldn't be, closed up in a book somewhere. Turn it around. So on the back, we have a panel. We have 2 panels. So this one has hinges and a keyhole, or a hole. Assume it's a keyhole. And then this one just has this sort of knob and a panel itself. If you see here, we've got the bell tower is here, but we have another panel here. And so it's kind of denotes maybe possibly 2 levels right there. And then the bell tower itself is 2 half circles, but we have Purple Heart that spans across that, just like I did in, say, the treasure box, the little treasure chest music box that I did for my wife. If you had seen the small woodworking projects, I think the part 1 had that. And so that was something I did here. So as I said, all the oak from here up I bought here in Knoxville at a big box store, just $20 worth of project oak that you can buy. Very easy to do. The Purple Heart, all the Purple Heart is left over from the Parthenon project. Spoiler alert, I'm going to solve the puzzle. Oh, I did mention earlier, this little bell tower up here, what I'm calling a bell tower, it's got enough room. Originally, it was going to be something else, and I'll tell you what that is later. Originally, it was going to have another function, but instead I decided to leave it blank. And so this is cast tube. If you're familiar with cast tube, Hanayama's cast tube. I am currently working that, and so the idea I had, since most of the puzzles contained in here are going to be Hanayama cast metal puzzles, because they're small, it'd be nice to just have the space to keep one of my puzzles or two of my puzzles, whatever I'm working on at the moment, just set it in there, and then they're easy to grab to work whenever I have time to do that. But moving forward, for solving the puzzle, we'll do that next. Now I will say, first of all, moving the hands of the clock. This is an independent clock. It is, as I said, it's a quartz clock. You can buy them at any hobby big box store, hardware stores. They are mainly made for, or they're mainly designed for people who build their own clocks. They're building the case, they're building the surrounding part. They just need a mechanical clock, and so you can buy this. Just takes a AA battery. But for my purposes, you could also stick this into, there's a video online, a guy who puts it on an LP record to hang on the wall, because this, the mechanism includes a hanger, so you can hang it on a nail anywhere. So there's a lot of things you can do with this clock, and so I went ahead and just drilled a hole through the Purple Heart and put this on. I should note I finished the wood after this whole project was over with, so I really had to move the arms around just to get the shellac in. So there's really nothing on the front that you can do to get into the puzzle. And I will say that this is not a most difficult puzzle. This is really learning about gears, making gears, and just different things. So we'll go on. So the first thing we've got is this knob down here. So it kind of moves around. If you do it in full turns, it's not going to come open. If you do a half turn, it does come open. So here is the mechanism. I've got a gear that moves two other pieces up and down, and then inside the box, I've got holes, two holes here, or mortises here, and two mortises here. Now I could just do a mortise here and a mortise here, but I wanted to have mortises on both sides so that when you unlock it, if you went too far, you would just relock it. And so I also have these copper or these brass plates that I bought at a hobby town to hold these things in place. The knob and the wheel are secure, but these are not. And to show you a better indication or a better illustration of that, this is a mock-up that I made before making the final. So you see the wheel in the middle and the two components on either end. This, of course, was not my original. Nothing I make really is my original idea. I'm not that smart. Or if it is my original, I'm sure I'm not the first person that created it. This actually comes from this book, 507 Mechanical Movements by Henry T. Brown. It's actually based on something they found from the 19th century. And so this particular one, let's see, I can't remember exactly which one this number is, but oh, here it is. So this comes from Movement 127, which was originally used in water pumps. And so as these pieces went up and down, it would move this arm back and forth to do something else. If you are familiar with puzzle boxes, you'll know there's a Jean-Claude Constantine puzzle out there that employs this very same principle. I won't tell you which one because that would be giving too much away. I will say that I did not see Mr. Puzzle's video of that until after I had created this. So I didn't steal it from that. And of course, I'm using it differently. If you've ever done that particular puzzle, you'll know that it is used horizontally, and I'm using it vertically. Probably if you're using it horizontally, it's even harder to figure out. But anyway, that's basically what you're doing, and making the gear, now these parts. This is just little triangles. but making the gear and making those teeth all work together, that took a lot for me. It took a lot of time. Once I had this, then it was very easy to do it here because I used the same, I used a compass to mark out all the, where to put the hole, where to put the points and the valleys. All this was, it's very mechanical, figuring this out. I am not an engineer, and so it took a long time. But anyway, that's the first part. So you enter the puzzle. There will be storage for a couple puzzles right here. So those you can get right away. But getting further, that's the next step. Moving on, we have something here, we have something here, and you know, you can't tell what's going on here, but I assume there's something here because I just moved. But it's not coming out the way it is right now. So, you know, what do we do? Well, we have a knob, but that knob won't do anything. It won't turn. And so we have this thing, and so maybe if we turn that or pull it, well, it doesn't really pull. I mean, it's kind of in there. It doesn't move up and down. So basically what we're going to have to do is turn it to the left. So we're turning it to the left. And it comes all the way out. So what this is a threaded bolt that has a kind of a hex hole in one end. This came from the Alfred Gagnon machinist chest that I got last year. I don't know what it's for, but it worked perfectly in this situation. So what I did was, using this, I drilled a hole, threaded it, using the tap and die set. And so what that does is it actually secures this. So now this can be pulled out. And so what you've got is, you've got an L that locks in place, and then that thing will come through this hole. And so unless that's out, you can't move this. It's just very basic mechanics here. Nothing special. It just, you know, that's kind of how a lot of my puzzle boxes are. I've got two magnets down here. Those magnets match up to two metal pieces that actually came out of a DVD player that I tore up, which I'll talk about in a minute. There was a VHS DVD player that came with our house that we moved into, so it's not ours. It didn't work, and so I took it out, and I actually took it apart to get some of the components out. Maybe I could use them for a project. And so inside here we have Total Eclipse. This is from Puzzle Master of Canada. This puzzle is actually the reason that I built this Puzzle Box 5. It was part of an order of items that came that were going to be fit into the Parthenon, but it wouldn't, you know, these other items wouldn't fit. So this puzzle became the first puzzle to start outfitting this one. I also have cast box. This is from Hanayama. That's kept in there. And now you have access to the quartz clock with the AA battery and the little knob for changing the time. So moving forward, we have a knob here. And so we move the knob, nothing is happening. I will tell you at this next stage, this is all based on a DVD player. If you have a DVD player or a CD player or anything like that, this came out of that DVD VHS thing that I was talking about. And so if you remember old computers, any of those types of things, you have a CD-ROM or something that will pull out. And there is a component that actually allows that to happen. There we go. And so this goes out and back. That is sort of the general mechanics that I used to create this next component. What you have is, now there's more to it. There's a little band around a pinion kind of thing that moves back and forth. But generally what you're looking at, and you can't really see it in here, but you can see it maybe barely right in here. It works very similar to this concept where you have a wheel and you have a jagged edge. So a wheel and a jagged edge, and that moves that back and forth. And that is how you eject this, how this, the ROM, the CD, the DVD is ejected. Blu-ray, same thing. And so that's what I did for this. There was a short on YouTube earlier this year that showed this before this panel was added. So you may have seen that. However, that is locked in place right now. So what you have to do, there is a metal pin back here that has to be removed. So this comes out, and now this will open. So you see that wheel in there and the jag, and I'll take it all the way out. There. The jagged pieces here, and then you've got the hole that this pin will fit in through the other floor, so you can't actually get it out. So inside currently I have cast O-gear. This is also where Tube was living in here as well, but certainly plenty of room. I mean, there's plenty of room in there for other puzzles, maybe 4 puzzles, 2 or 3 or 4 total. Because the Hanayamas are just so small, for those of you who do that. Well, the next step is secret panel comes up. So this just lifts up and out. Down below we have U and U, cast elk. So those 2 are kept down there. It also has the nameplate for my creation. Clock, Puzzle Box 5, September 2023, Richard Baker, Knoxville, Tennessee, Rich Hill Woodworking. Additionally, we have a key. And you know what this key is for. It's time now to get into the bell tower to find out what's going on in there. Well, first of all, it's a big puzzle. This is a kind of a puzzle box type discovery thingy from Jean-Claude Constantine. It's from the recent puzzle order that I did, and so it's still in the shrink wrap. Next, it's a bucket. This is a bucket from a dollhouse type thing. I bought it at a big box store. The original idea was that this was going to be sort of anchored. You would put a marble in, it would roll down, hit this thing, this would descend, it would open a door on the front, and then there was going to be some automation. The automation was going to be, there was going to be a crank on the side, and there would be music as well as some little automation inside doing something. I had started on that with this, the idea of as you turned it, this would turn and it would turn another one just like it. So going from vertical to horizontal was very difficult in what I was doing. This was using a pattern on plywood, trying to get this. This was really tough. And this new job that I have, that I started this summer and still working, it was just, I was exhausted from work and I just couldn't even work on this. So I had to abandon it. But instead, what we have is a music box that plays a little song. If you could hear that, that was What a Wonderful World. And so that was one of the cheaper music boxes out there. It was only $10. At the time I bought it, I didn't want to spend a lot of money on a music box, and so I got that. If there was one on the internet of a good price, I wanted to get As Time Goes By from Casablanca. Also featured in a British television series from the 1990s, one that I had watched recently this year and last year, and that was really why I wanted to put that in there. And it was, you know, made sense with the clock itself. So the special feature is actually located right back behind this panel. And so this little music box. Again, I wanted to do more, but I couldn't figure out how to have the crank be able to move the crank of the music box at the same time. I really struggled with that. If you guys have any ideas on how to sync that up, I tried drilling holes in these things in different places, and it just didn't work out correctly. And I'm sure I'm missing something. You know, I tried to do it based on the radius of the arm. I tried to do it based on you know, because the arm, not only if you had the hole, but this little the piece is loose on the stick that that works here, so it'd have to really squeeze it. If you just had it loosely, it wouldn't even move it or wobble around. So up here on top, this is a shelf that I put in, and very easy to make, and with a support, Purple Heart support. At the end of the day, after all the features and however much it takes to get in here, this is not a very difficult puzzle. The bottom line is puzzle storage. You know, I collect puzzles. I collect the Hanayamas. I collect Jean-Claude Constantine, Sebastian Spiel, Puzzle Master puzzles, and a lot of others. And you got to have places to put these things. And so this is, you know, I don't like wasted spaces in my puzzle boxes or in my creations. So yeah, just having this space down here to put something like, say, this, then, you know, without something here, there's no way to really keep that in place. And so add the shelf, then you can add more puzzles. And so that's what we do. And so that's my Puzzle Box 5, the clock, inspired by movements in this book, as well as everyday movements from things like DVD players and other things. A remarkable journey of figuring out wooden gears. I actually only have 2 wooden gears used in here, but gosh, that's still more than 0. And don't be surprised to see some wooden gears in some of my future projects. I have some others in mind coming up. I might do one just on automation eventually once I figure it out. But thanks for watching, and be sure to check out my other videos and my other puzzle boxes and puzzle cabinet creations.